What's up, guys? Here for the Week 9 review. To start here, I will cover some of the trades that took place in the past week. First trade we have here is between, it looks like, Brian and Steven. Brian traded Aaron Jones and Le'Veon Bell for Leonard Fournette, TJ Yeldon, and Alex Collins. Obviously, the trade is really based on Lev Bell. I mean, if Le'Veon Bell comes back and, he's even in a timeshare with James Conner, he'll probably produce, at least a top 20 running back, in my opinion. Obviously, Leonard Fournette's coming off an injury, so we'll see if he can stay healthy, if he comes back off his injury this week. I believe he practiced in full I think yesterday he practiced in full, but I may be wrong there. Brian gets TJ Yeldon as well, so obviously Leonard Fournette's not able to go. And even if he is, Yeldon's still the passing down back there, so he'll still get some kind of work. I personally don't believe Carlos Hyde's going to do much when Fournette comes back. I think he'll probably be limited to 3 to 5 touches a game, possibly. Very limited role in my opinion, but we'll see how that pans out. Obviously, Alex Collins has been coming on a little bit for the Ravens. They don't have much of a run game. I don't think Ty Montgomery eats into Alex Collins' time much. Montgomery, I believe, will take over for Javoris Allen a good chunk and steal the passing down work there. And also, Steven gets Aaron Jones, who is the lead back in Green Bay. Green Bay doesn't like to run the ball a ton. I believe he did fumble in the game the other night. But he has the opportunity. It's just a matter of whether he'll take it and run with it or not. The next trade we have here is between Derek and Dalton. Dalton sent Mohamed Sanu to Derek for Russell Wilson. Obviously, players 2 different positions. Dalton really had a need for a quarterback. And I don't really know Derek's situation, but Mohamed Sanu is a decent receiver, probably wide receiver 3 in our league. But he obviously doesn't really need Russell Wilson. He has Jared Goff, so he got something he can probably use on his team on a weekly basis there. So pretty good trade for both parties there. Next I have, I believe it's Philip and Orlando. Looks like Philip traded Doug Baldwin to Orlando for LaShawn McCoy. Personally, I like Doug Baldwin in this trade. He's on a better team. He's in a better situation. Obviously, running backs carry a little bit more value because of the guaranteed touches. Baldwin is playing with not 100%. He has the knee injuries. And McCoy's on the horrible Buffalo Bills. So, I mean, pretty fair trade there. Obviously, both guys are probably getting something that their teams need. So, we'll see how that works out for him. Looks like the next trade we have here is Steven trading Le'Veon Bell a few days after he acquired him for Matt Breida from Philip. Obviously, if Bell plays at all, Philip clearly wins this trade. If Bell plays not at all, then Steven would win this trade. Obviously, it's just a matter of whether Bell plays or not. I believe he has until the 13th to report to be able to be eligible to play in a game this year. I personally don't know if that'll happen. I doubt it, to be honest. I mean, I know Le'Veon Bell tweeted farewell Miami yesterday, but I just think he's fucking with everybody like he's been doing the whole time. So I believe he'll sit out this year. I believe the Steelers will release him, so he will have the ability to become a free agent, and he'll sign somewhere else next year. That's my thoughts. And then the last trade we have here is Derek and Steven. Derek sent Demaryius Thomas to Steven for O.J. Howard and Danny Amendola. I'm not really sure what Derek's tight end situation is, but getting O.J. Howard is likely an improvement there. He's probably a top 5 tight end, the way things are playing out this year. With Fitzpatrick in the mix, they'll be down in games and throwing a bunch, so he has quite a bit of upside there. Amendola, not a lot of pass catchers available in Miami with injuries and some bums there. I mean, Amendola's probably wide receiver 3, flex play at best in our league, and then he's sitting Demaryius Thomas. Demaryius Thomas is really your wide receiver 3 as well. He has wide receiver 2 upside though, in my opinion. So we'll see. He had 3 for 61 in his first game in Houston. But he wasn't even there a whole week, so give him a couple weeks to build some rapport with Watson and learn the playbook, and maybe we'll see him blossom and maybe fill in some of that role that Will Fuller has left behind with his injury. So see how that goes. Now let's jump into the matchups this past week. Really, none of them were of much to speak about except one of them. Obviously, first is we have my matchup here versus Derek. I was able to win this matchup 90-67. Had Aaron Rodgers with 19, Chubb had 16, Gurley had 17, Devonta Adams had 13. Adam Thielen sucked this week. He only had 11 and didn't even get 100 yards receiving. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with him. No, I mean, obviously, I knew he would come down at a certain point. You can't keep catching 100 yards every week. It just doesn't happen. And I believe he was dealing with a little bit of a calf injury in the game. Plus, they are winning big, so it's fine. I mean, I'd rather him save his big matchups or his big games when I really need it. Nothing else going on in my lineup. I mean, I had Chris Hogan. I had to kind of play. I thought he was going to be I thought he was a better play than Mike Williams. I thought that game would be a little more of a shootout with Green Bay. And with Gronk not playing, thought maybe he'd do something. I'm not even sure. Let me see here. I mean, he was on the field for 53 of 71 snaps, but he only had 1 target in the game. So could have played Mike Williams, who was on my bench, got 9.5. Yeah, I think he had 1 catch and a touchdown, so he's pretty consistent with that. 1 catch, a touchdown. That's his thing. Obviously, Kiki Kuti is on my bench, and Allen Robinson both are out with injury. Saquon Barkley on bye. I did have Matt Ryan on the bench who had 28, so I could have got some more points playing him. But I thought Washington defense has been pretty good this year, but it clearly didn't matter for Matt Ryan. Looking at Derek's team, Jared Goff killed it for him, had 29. Smith-Schuster had 11, and that's kind of it. I mean, obviously when your team only puts up 67, it's a tough week for him. Lamar Miller only had 6. Tariq Cohen with 2. And the Bears put up 41 in that game. Everybody else is probably pretty standard, for what I would think they would get. Obviously, Rams defense getting -6 is not good, but they did have a really tough matchup. Did have San Francisco running back on the bench who had 15, but he broke his arm in the game. And it's just a tough season for injuries for Derek looking at his team. I mean, Michelle's been out for a little bit. Paul Richardson's done for this season. Mostert's done for the season. So he's going to need to get some depth there. Maybe that's some of the reason he made that trade earlier today as well. He does have Kyle Rudolph, who I think is a pretty solid tight end, but I don't think he carries the same kind of upside O.J. Howard carries. The next up, we have the closest matchup of the week, which was hardcore competition between some bottom feeders. I mean, talk about a close game. I mean, they both really stunk it up, but they both did, so that's kept it close. It was 80.5 to 77.1, so we can analyze the matchups here, see if some adjustments could have been made to change the result. Phillip had Watson with 20. Robert Woods had 10. Jimmy Graham had 13.5. And was able to win the game with his touchdown on Sunday night. Not much else going on in his lineup. John Brown struggled with 3. Maybe you say Breida struggled with 5, but everybody else is probably pretty on par with what you'd expect for the most part, at least in my opinion. Derrick Henry was on his bench, had 10. He did get a touchdown. Outside of that, he wouldn't have had anything. Not much else going on his bench. A couple players on bye. And then if we look at Joseph's team, Mahomes killed it with 27. Played Chris Thompson. I believe Chris Thompson was ruled out of the game. Yeah, he was ruled out of the game on Friday, so I guess Joseph didn't have time to switch his lineup. I don't really know. I know he's sometimes really busy with work, but I know if he would have thrown in Alfred Blue, he would have got 3.9 points, and that would have been enough to give him the victory. So, something really small like that, can really, really make the difference. We have Philip Lindsay with 9.4, not a bad day. Chargers defense got him 12, not much else there. Not much going on his bench either, so just a tough week for both these guys, but hey, man, that's how sometimes you got to get the win. So Philip was able to squeak his second win of the season out by only scoring 80 points. Next, we have probably the biggest blowout of the week. Dakota more than doubled Brian's score. It was 150 to 73. Brian had Brady with 16. Alex Collins got him 11. And just not much else there. A lot of his team on bye week. His whole bench was on bye. I'm a little surprised. I actually thought some of the guys on this team was going to do good because I actually played quite a bit of these guys in DraftKings, and if it wasn't for them, I would have won a shit ton more money because I played a lot of guys who killed it Sunday. But I had Crowell. He didn't do well here. DJ Moore didn't do well. Galladay struggled. Not really sure what's going on there, but hopefully those guys can turn it around for him. Looking at Dakota's team, McCaffrey, huge game, 30 points. Jordan Howard, big game with the Did he have 2 touchdowns, I believe? Let's look here. Yep, 2 touchdowns. Got him 17. Hopkins with 22. Tyreek Hill, 11. Julio Jones, first touchdown of the season. First touchdown in almost a freaking year. Got 22. Benjamin Watson had a touchdown. I don't know if you guys saw a celebration, but after he scored, he tucked the football under his jersey like he was pregnant. And that was significant for him because his wife is pregnant with twins, I believe. Latavius Murray got him 11. Will Lutz got him 11 as well. Dalvin Cook on the bench got him 13, so he's going to have that decision every week. If it's Murray, is it Cook? Who's going to be a better play? Not much else on his bench. Gronk out with injury again, and not that it really matters for his team. Next up, we got Steven and Dalton. Dalton won this one 173 to 115. Steven had Cam Newton with 21. I thought he would have a much bigger day, but his team didn't really need it. Josh Gordon with 22. Cooper Kupp had 17. O.J. Howard with 19. And then not much else going on there. Nobody really, maybe Devonta Parker shit the bed with 1.3, but everybody else probably pretty on par with what you'd expect. Not much going on in his bench. Willie Snead had 9.3, some guys on bye week and everything like that. Looking over here at Dalton's team, obviously they killed it. Even the guys on his bench scored double digits. He had Fitzpatrick with 24, Connor with 26, Kamara with 32, Keenan Allen had 18, Amari Cooper had 14, Dolphins defense with 24, Tucker had 10, Ito Smith on the bench with 13, Russell Wilson on the bench with 20. So he played the right quarterback there in his matchup, and everybody performed pretty well for his team. That's what you need to get 173 points in a week. Next, we got Josh versus Orlando. Orlando won this one pretty easily, 145 to 110. So Orlando is on a 3-game win streak currently. He is up to 4-5. He was started the season near the bottom, but he's turning things around here. So looking at Josh's team, Phillip Rivers with 17, James White at 25, Brandon Cooks with 20. Jets defense got him 10, Zerline got him 10. Drew Brees on the bench with 31, so he could have got about 14 more points there playing him. Obviously, he still would have lost the matchup, but it would have helped his score out a little bit there. I probably would have played Brees, but it could kind of go either way. I think Seattle's defense is a little better than the Rams, and then I would just think the Rams and Saints game would be a shootout. That's the only reason I would have made that decision there. Looking over here at Orlando's team, Dak had 15, Deion Lewis with 20, Melvin Gordon had 19, Julian Edelman with 14, Antonio Brown with 13, Greg Olsen with 17, Vikings defense with 23. Not much going on his bench, and looked like most of his guys pretty well performed up to their to what they expect. And then the last matchup we have here is Chad versus Garrett. Garrett lost this one. It was 159 to 110. So Garrett, who was once undefeated at 7-0, is now 7-2 on a 2-game losing streak here. Looking at his team, Kareem Hunt with 33. Cordero Patterson had 13. Travis Kelce had 25. And just not much else. I mean, 8 out of your quarterback, Trubisky. Kerryon Johnson only had 6. Obviously, throwing Cole Beasley out there was a big gamble. Only got 3. Trayton Cannon and the flex at 2. I mean, I have to think there's better options available in the waiver wire there personally, but obviously not enough guy on the waiver wire to get him the victory here. So if he would have played Big Ben, it would have definitely helped out his score, made it a little closer. But had some of his better players on bye week. Obviously, Golden Tate trade got him a second bye week. Obviously, he's got A.J. Green, who's going to be out at least a couple weeks with a toe injury. So that's good for me because I know I play him in week 11, so I'm likely not going to have to face A.J. Green, so I can be happy about that. Looking at Chad's team, Elliott with 13. Tevin Coleman had a huge day with 30. Michael Thomas, huge day with 33. George Kittle with 19. NVS with 12. Bears defense with 29. I mean, that was kind of pretty much expected, honestly. He did have Calvin Ridley on the bench with 17, so he could have got a few more points there. Just 1 point out of the Dallas kicker. I believe he missed his first field goal of the season. Stafford struggled with only 6, but everybody else is pretty on par with what you would expect there. So that is all the matchups for the week. And, looks like we have some breaking news. There is a trade between myself and Orlando. I have sent Aaron Rodgers, Allen Robinson, and Saquon Barkley to Orlando for Dak Prescott, Melvin Gordon, and Julian Edelman. So we'll just review the trade real quick. Obviously, Orlando's getting the way better quarterback here. I have 2 quarterbacks on my team currently. And, just figured to try to get some help at, some other positions. I will have to deal one. And obviously Orlando could use a quarterback because Dak Prescott sucks. I'll keep him on my team because there's not much better on the waiver wire. But it was what I had to do, or what I feel I needed to do. Traded Allen Robinson. He hasn't really played for 3 weeks. He did play 3 weeks ago, but he was very limited in that game. Hasn't played for the past 2 weeks. Had a groin injury. Just fucking really frustrating me, to be honest. I really need a third receiver to, play and feel confident about. So I'm obtaining Julian Edelman, who is Tom Brady's favorite target. I'm guaranteed, in my opinion, to probably get double-digit points out of him every week. So that really makes me happy to know I have that floor. And obviously pairing him along with my other 2 stud receivers makes me pretty happy with my receiving core there. And then, so I'm obviously getting an upgrade there, in my opinion. And then the running back switch, it's basically a wash. I prefer Melvin Gordon just based on his team. His team is better. He's going to have more opportunities to score. I also worry about the Giants somewhat. Barkley getting overworked. Teams starting to stack the box on them potentially, especially if they bench Eli Manning and they put some bum back there. I mean, obviously Eli Manning's a bum, but I mean the backups aren't even better than that. So I mean, teams could really focus on him and take him out. Obviously Barkley's upside is he's still going to catch probably 5-6 balls every game. I mean, so we'll see how that goes. So that trade just happened. Have rankings up here shortly. Best luck to everybody heading into Week 10. Only 4 weeks left until the playoffs. Playoffs start Week 14. So best of luck to everybody, and see you guys next time.